Okay, session 2. My name's Jackie, Beatrice, Blakely, whatever you want. I'm grad, I'm a Master of Science in Marketing. The title of the session that I'm gonna be talking about right now is The Science and Craft of Storytelling, How to Make People Care. The speaker was Sherilyn Miller Hauser. She's the founder of Creative Breed. I can't even tell you how many times I cried in this session. She didn't even make the commercials, or actually I should probably say the spots, because I didn't know that was like a lingo thing that people use here. But she didn't make the examples that she showed the audience. Everyone was so moved though. But this was one that I really, really, really wanted to go to. I have always so firmly believed in the power of storytelling. Maybe that's because I have worked in the environmental space where there's so many like hard facts and data, and people try and change it, not data, but information and like science, where people try and change your mind with the science, but it doesn't touch to anything emotional. And I think that's where we're going really wrong, because to be honest, if science could change the world and could change minds, we would have already done that. And we are very, very far from that. And so I thought this was just a great presentation. Basically her main 3 principles that she talked about, there's a lot of sub principles, but the big 3 were: make it human, listen to your heart and uncover your story, and turn your brand into a character. Incredible. Make it human. So simple. So important. I think she talked a lot about empathy, and I think that people forget to really tap into that empathetic part of who we are. And that's such a mistake. And we're so afraid to not take risks. And maybe I'm just like a person that says this all the time, but through storytelling, you're literally lighting up parts in another person's brain that would never be activated if you didn't tell the story, and they're like connecting with you. And she put words to that, which I had no idea what the actual phrase for that was, and it's narrative transportation. Totally cool. Wrote it down, literally was like, oh, yeah. Because I think it's so important, and people forget that that's like, when we're talking to people, when we're convincing people of something, and especially as marketers, we're trying to get into their psyche. We're trying to convince them. And the way you do that is through stories. And, she has a lot of examples. She brought out every heartwarming example in the world, between, I think it was called The Farmer's Dog is the one that, it's like a dog food company, but of course they, brought me to tears. The Dove commercials brought me to tears. But it just, again, goes to show, the more you can emotionally connect, you don't even have to show your product in your ad. But if people connect with you as a brand, and I'm going to say you as a brand, but I really mean anything you're marketing, whether it's an idea or a concept or a movement or whatever, they're going to resonate with that. And I thought that was really cool. I also will say, I have always not been skeptical of Liquid Death, but kind of like, wow, I can't believe that this company is selling water in cans and they're doing it so well. But diving a little bit deeper into that example and her explanations of that was so cool. I wrote a note in my phone being like, I hope that we can get them on the podcast that I host, because to be honest, she said they have, the CEO, Andy Pearson, had 2 goals into creating that company. Basically reduce plastic waste, which is why they're selling water in cans, and provide entertainment. I have no words. They crush. They do exactly that. And I think they're a perfect example of not being afraid to take risks and using whatever comes their way to make something special out of and to be unique. And that is not something that you see in every brand these days. And it pays off, but people are so scared to take risks. And what did she say? Yeah, she said, don't be bland. Don't be afraid of humor. Don't be afraid of taking risks. So simple. And yet people are so afraid of being bland. Oops, sorry. I just scratched my paper. People are so afraid of being bland. People are so afraid of taking risks because there's so much money on the line. But at the end of the day, I almost think, and this is what this whole thing put into perspective for me, as marketers, we are tapping into the human experience. For lack of a better word here, we're capitalizing on that. And we need to know how to do that well, right? And I think we shy away. Again, like I don't think everyone does, but a lot of people shy away from what that could look like because they're scared to take risks, but that's how the best stuff is done. And I mean, a lot of these things, a lot of the talks today were like, don't be afraid to fail, because that's where then you find the sweet spot of like, hell yeah, this worked, we took a risk, and we are now pushing forward and paving the path in this specific industry. So anyways, I loved it, but that one really spoke to my heart. I love storytelling.